Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are ready for an insane week. We have a lot of very important economic data coming out, but more importantly, Jerome Powell. This is his yearly congressional hearing from Congress, essentially. This is what started the pain in 2022. That is going to be coming up in this next upcoming week. So I think that in and of itself, regardless of FTD's short interest numbers, option activity, technicals, or anything else that affects AMC stock, this will be important, and this is definitely warranted that we talk about here in this Sunday video. On top of that, we are going to get into everything else that we just talked about, FTD's option activity, technical analysis, and much more. So I hope you guys are ready. This is going to be a price prediction video for the end of this week. Last week we were pretty spot on our low end estimate around that $859 level, in which we did touch at one point in this last week. So the work is cut out for us here in this video. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel because Khaleesi approves of it. Thank you for watching. Let's get straight into it. So first things first, AMC is on the threshold securities list. This is not new information, but the FTD numbers are going up higher, exponentially higher for this week than what we seen last week or in previous weeks or really previous months ever within AMC. You have not seen FTD numbers consistently going higher like we are now ever with AMC. I think that in and of itself will cause a decent amount of stability, if not that move to the upside, because we know there's going to be millions of shares every day that will have to be bought back by hedge funds, institutions, and market makers because of the T+35 settlement time. And we'll talk about that in just 1 minute, but let's run through the data that you may or may not know that updates a lot, and that is the Ortex data. So the live short interest of free float sitting at 25.16%. Guys, this is the highest that we have seen this in over 2 years, and I think that in and of itself is going to create a lot of volatility, but potentially a move to the upside as we get into the technicals. They are very bullish. They are very bullish, and it's screaming to you, I am bullish. And we'll look at that here in just a second. 129.5 million shares that are currently sold short. Cost to borrow average of 266.5%, cost to borrow max of 339%, and cost to borrow minimum of 0.35%. Now, a lot of people have asked why the cost to borrow rates are going down compared to that 1,000% we just seen over the last week or two, right? The 500-600%. And let me just be honest with you guys. You had this essentially catalyst come and go, and that was earnings. So it makes sense the implied volatility went down a little bit, and that's the implied move from investors, right? From market makers, hedge funds, institutions, retail investors. That means the cost of borrow rates should come down. Now, should they have ever got to 1,000%? Well, I don't know. We've seen a lot of volatility. We've seen a lot of movement within AMC. The reason that they are falling now is because earnings are out of the way. Now, don't be fooled. 20% cost to borrow rates are extreme, categorized as extreme by FINRA, the SEC, and the DTCC. So what do you think 114% cost to borrow rates are from Interactive Brokers? That's extreme short interest levels, to be dramatic there. 6 times higher than what extreme is categorized as. This is hurting shorts every single day. AMC does not go down, especially when AMC goes up like we seen on Friday, about 8.5%. It's not pretty for those short positions and hedge funds' overall portfolios. These guys are banking on this March 14th vote coming through as a yes, and come April 27th, the judge say this is dismissed. That is the only hope that the shorts have shorting AMC right now. If those things do not happen, like I talked about in the last video, you are going to see a very aggressive short squeeze, likely more aggressive than you've seen in June. I would think that day alone, AMC could probably move up $5 to $10 a share, and we have not seen that in a very long time relative to where AMC stock price is. That would be dramatic. So that's what we're potentially in store for over the next 2 weeks. Now, this week, you're not going to get quite that. You are going to get a lot of important economic data, though, and a lot of people are going to be setting up in AMC for the next week. So not this week, but the next week is going to be that week of March 17th. You have a massive option expiration. A lot of this is tied to the March 14th vote. And you also have a lot of FTDs that do come due over the next 2 weeks, likely to continue. And I really think by the end of this week, you're going to have a better picture of how the markets are feeling about this vote heading into the following week. So we'll talk about that a little bit more later on into this video, guys. Nonetheless, let's run through the FTD numbers, because we talk about this all the time and it might sound redundant to you guys, but it's important to stay up to date with this information. If we go ahead and refresh this page just so we have the most up-to-date information, you can see for March 6th, that is going to be tomorrow, 6.8 million FTDs that come due. On Tuesday, 5.2 million FTDs come due. On Wednesday, 3.5 million FTDs. On Thursday, 3.6 million FTDs. And on Friday, 1.5 million FTDs will be coming due, and that will be March 10th. Now, the following week after that, you start off Monday, March 13th at 1.8 million. On Tuesday, you go to 2.5 million. On Wednesday, 3.4 million. On Thursday, 3.9 million. And that big option expiration, March 17th, you got 6.8 million FTDs. And I think it's very well possible that AMC stock could be much higher by then. Come March 17th. I think the vote March 14th might actually be a very bullish catalyst for AMC. And definitely go ahead and watch the last video as well as this one to get caught up to date with all of this current information. Now, if we take a look at the stock go tracker data by this Friday, you are going to see potentially 93,000 additional calls go into the money. That's what the numbers look like at the close on last Friday. You currently have about 24,000 calls in the money, and in the money puts at 40,500, 40,500. I don't even know how you pronounce that properly. 133,000 puts that are out of the money. Now, let's take a look at these numbers for the following week for March 17th. You got about 76,000 calls in the money, 625,000 calls that are out of the money. Puts in the money 258,000, and puts out of the money at 904,000. So you're going to see a lot of extreme volatility for that week of March 17th. So expect a lot of volatility. It's not going to be a big surpriser to us. Big down moves, big up moves. I think that's expected, at least heading into March 14th. Even after that, but I do think it's going to be a bullish reaction. And we'll talk about this more the closer we do get to this date. I think it's a little early to talk about expectations, right? For actual dollar for dollar moves where AMC could go. I think we got to get through this week. First things first. Now, if we take a look at economic data that will be coming out on Monday, you really don't have too much. You have the 3-month bond auction and the 6-month bond auction. That will be important considering the yield curve is still steeply inverted, or I should say deeply inverted. On Tuesday, you start off with Fed Chair Powell testimony at 10 o'clock in the morning. Keep in mind, this is the same thing that happened in 2022 in March, where Jerome Powell basically told Congress they will do whatever they have to do to get inflation down. That basically what we've heard in 2022 is started from this event. And it's going to have a lot of people talking, and it's going to have huge implications for 2023. We could, by the end of it, price in 6 or higher on the federal funds rate, or we might expect rate cuts. I mean, there's big implications for this testimony. Now, The day after that, you are going to get, again, Fed Chair Powell testimony, 10 o'clock in the morning. 10 o'clock in the morning as well, the JOLTS job openings for January. You are expecting 11 million job openings. Well, no, you're expecting 10.6 million job openings. Previous job openings number was 11 million. Bank of Canada interest rate decision will also come at 10 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. The balance of trade comes out at 8:30 in the morning for America and for Canada. Now and that's Wednesday, actually. My apologies, Wednesday. Thursday, you are going to get initial jobless claims for the week of March 4th. You are expecting 190,000 to essentially stay flat from what we've seen last week at 195,000. You have Fed Bar that speaks at 10 o'clock in the morning, an 8-week bond auction, and a 4-week bond auction. If we take a look at Friday, you're going to get probably the most important economic data, and really, if you want to boil this down, obviously the jobs data that we do get, the initial jobless claims on Wednesday, will also be very important, but this is going to top the cake. The non-farm payrolls for February, the previous reading was 517,000, massively beat all economists' expectations. That comes out at 8:30 in the morning. You are expecting 210,000 jobs added, right? So if this goes up another 500,000 or even 250,000 or 300,000, that's going to be a problem for markets. Markets are not going to sit well with that. The unemployment rate last month came out at 3.4%. You are expecting, again, 3.4%. Any move higher in the unemployment rate will probably be seen as a positive thing. Any move lower, how much lower can you go, guys? That's the markets are not going to like that. So we'll see what happens. But even more importantly than just the headline numbers, probably going to be average hourly earnings month over month and the average hourly earnings year over year, as well as productivity numbers that also come out at 8:30 in the morning. Those will be big as well. Anything that can really imply inflation is going up or down is going to be very important, and those are part of inflation, right? If people are making more hourly, probably going to lead to more inflation, because how do businesses compensate for paying more hourly? Typically, they raise prices. So do keep that in mind. Now, if we do go ahead and take a look at some other key things happening with AMC stock, guys, this one is very just ridiculous, to be quite honest. If you guys have not watched the last video, definitely go ahead and watch that as well. It says AMC gets ISS backing for its preferred conversion, the reverse split. Don't listen to anything that you're really going to see from financial media unless it's unbiased, because the ISS stands for International Shareholder Services. It is made up with investors such as hedge funds, brokerage firms, labor unions, government employee pension funds, market makers, hedge funds, market makers. It's actually hilarious at this point. So keep in mind keep on the lookout for that one. That one might come up again. You also had TD Ameritrade say they are back in this vote. Obviously, look at how short people are in AMC right now. The last thing they want is the stock going dramatically higher. Now, that is exactly what happened on Friday. AMC stock in regular trading up almost 8% at 7.87% in regular trading, up 0.3% in after hours. Now, let's be redundant for a second, just so everyone is on the same page. You were following a resistance level on this downtrending line of resistance, basically being the ending point of every single rally that we have seen since June. You finally broke above this, and now you are in a bullish channel. It's very clear to see, and typically what tends to happen when, granted, throughout 2022 and really the second half of 2021, you were in a bearish downtrend, but AMC still tended to rally about 80% of the time after earnings, whether it was 2 days after earnings, 2 weeks, or 2 months after earnings. AMC always tended to rally, again, about 80% of the time. And this time might not be a whole lot different. It looks like AMC stock from here are probably going to go a lot higher, as you now have changed from a long-term bearish downtrend into what could be a long-term bullish uptrend, breaking out above this key line and clearly in this bullish channel. Like we called out in the last video, the RSI is also at 56.27 after holding up this pretty good rally so far. It's neutral overall. Does suggest to me there could be a decent sized move towards those highs that we seen a couple days ago without getting some of these technical factors that weigh on people's trading decisions, right? If AMC just trends higher, the RSI doesn't have to, substantially jump. And that's something people do like to pay attention to. RSI stands for Relative Strength Index, if you are wondering. Now, the MACD is still in bullish territory. It's barely above neutral, though. So, again, let's not reiterate exactly what I just said. Along the same lines, it's not something that indicates AMC has to come down anytime soon. It actually indicates AMC is probably going to go higher. As you can see from the rallies that we've seen over the past 2 years, look at where the RSI was and the MACD for that matter, but more so the MACD. Huge humps here, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. These were all the rallies that we have seen. Look at where you are now, right? After rallying 75% from the bottom that you've seen in early January. There's a lot of room to make a move higher and then potentially a massive move higher from here. So we'll see if the bullishness does continue for this week. I think for Monday, it's probably going to be more bullish than not, right? Friday, you were up almost 8.5%. That doesn't tend to happen on Friday unless people are pretty bullish. Friday tends to be the day where people sell out. People tend to more so buy on Monday, sell out on Friday. You didn't see that last week. So this week's probably going to be pretty bullish as well. And if I were to target a certain point, a lot of this does depend on what Fed Jerome Powell says. That could be a 3 to 5% up day or down day, depending on what is said. And I think that will have a massive influence to what we see within AMC for this week. If things are bullish and you do break out above about $9 per share, $9.13, 15, 20 cents per share in that range, this channel, then you could exponentially move higher than that. And I would start to target $11 or $12 per share, where the AMC AI, the AI bots, see AMC stock and where that could go by the end of this year. And if you guys have not seen that video, you definitely want to give that one a watch, because that is very interesting. Now, on a base case type basis, I think a move back to $9 per share is most certainly in the cards. That would be a move up of about 38% by the end of this week. To get back to about $11 per share, that would be about a 69% rally. So I think that is less likely. But again, if Fed Jerome Powell says something the markets like and people want to hear, then I think it very well is possible AMC could rally 20 to 25%. Based off of what Fed Jerome Powell says. Vice versa, you could fall 5 to 10% pretty easily based off of any negative things he does have to say. And that is why it is important, and that's why it kind of throws a wrench in this week, just because of how significant this event with Fed Jerome Powell is going to be. On a more worst case scenario, I think you would target this previous level of resistance as support yet again. That would be a drop of about 22, 23%. Maybe about 25%, just depending on what day it actually does happen. If you go towards the end of the week, it's about 25%. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, but we will see, guys. That is going to do it for this video. Tell them, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Thank you for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Say, hit that like button. Say, hit the like button. Say, subscribe to the channel. Say, AMC to the moon. Say, I'm a sleepy baby. She's not going to do it. The mic actually cut out. She said this all perfectly. So, yeah. Second time, not a charm. Maybe the third, but definitely not the second time. So, that's it. I'll see you guys in the next one.